Hi everyone, welcome to the Solo to Entrepreneur Show. You're with me, Lorraine Chai, yet again, and today I have this wonderful person with me, Gates from Canada himself. So welcome, Gates.
Hey, how you doing this morning?
Amazing. All right, so the reason why I have you here is because you are a general contractor that is based in Canada, but has projects all over the US. And that was the question I was going to ask you in terms of why are you in Canada that has projects in the US?
Well, you got to think you look back at the last 10 years of our Canadian government and our economy has been slowly drifting down to where the point where it's like, okay, we'll got to look outside the box. What's the bigger thing? Canada has 40 million population, the US has 340 million. So it's scale by numbers, right? So and then you start thinking, let's go bigger. What are we going to do? So basically what we've done is that we've shifted to just doing our own developments from a general contractor doing custom homes to just doing
Mm.
our own developments, our own holds, and
But I guess
basically,
I guess the question, right, is the fact that why won't you just migrate to the US and just do it there rather than being in Canada?
well, this the strategy we have going right now is our flagship development will be in Canada. So
Okay.
the corporation's based on a cross-border tax uh, corporation, and
Okay.
then basically what we're going to end up doing is getting our E2 visas once the first development starts. So
Ah, so you
we've
you
already
have like
started.
a
We've
stage and
started.
a plan. Okay.
Yeah,
Cool. Interesting.
yeah.
All right.
So once the
So
investment starts,
right. So the reason why I have you on here because people are like, okay, Lorraine, your channel is all about business, right? So you're gonna get business in terms of whether or not it's a business attorney or someone that's successful. So with you being a general contractor and doing luxury homes, to me that is also a business and you are also a business owner. So let's talk about the perception of what people see general contractors as. Like to your understanding, how would people perceive you as a general contractor?
how would people perceive me? Um, Hard work ethic.
Mm,
Like basically in our industry, it is 7 days a week, especially when you're client driven. The clients work 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, so they expect that, Friday, Saturday, Sunday is, they can just have your whole time. Um, so the perception is sometimes looks really good because there is big money in it, but it is a
mm.
24/7. Even when you're on holidays or not on holidays. So
Right.
it's you get to that point of what's next.
Okay, but for you as a general contractor, because people are like, okay, busy is good, right? Everybody think busy
Oh
is
yeah.
good, but is being busy the right way and being busy the wrong way? But for you, being busy, like you took the next step beyond that. And that means you started looking, around for coaches and you got, your coach to help you through the next level. Why did you go through that process? Because, like I said, general contractors, from my understanding, would not go that extra level in or extra mile in terms of all right, you know what? I'm going to look for somebody that is good in the business side, somebody that
Yeah.
will be able to coach me in the business. So
Yeah.
why did you go through that journey in terms of, you know what? I'm going to look for a coach to help me.
Well, it actually came by surprise. One of our marketing guys had a spare ticket for an event in Toronto, and I was like, yeah, no. And then he's like, well, come on. He talked me into it. So my wife and I went to Toronto, and that's where we met JT Fox. And I'm gonna like just a very quick snapshot between that and we'll say about 18 months. We went from doing $3 to $7 million a year. We have contracts in excess of 1.3 billion right now.
Okay,
So
but like for your marketing guy, right? Some people say, what would you know? Like, I'm the business owner, you're just a marketing person. Why would I even consider going to an event because you have a spare ticket? But you took that chance because somebody offered
yeah.
it to you. What was your thought process at that time?
Take the chance, just go. My last big projects were in Toronto, so it was nice to go back to the East Coast and visit home at the same time. But it was like this is a great event. This is who you're going to meet. Great networking opportunities, and it turned out really good. Like
But you're
I
like
look
me,
back
you're
and going,
hooked.
Oh, I am totally hooked. Yeah, totally.
So you're right. So like me, you're hooked, and you came to Australia with me, right? Like
Yeah,
you were there in Australia at the Opera House, and you were here at the business conference that just passed. So you were hooked the moment you went through that. But the thing is, what I also saw was great. That was the fact that you were open,
yeah,
because people in the real estate side would not be open in terms of, you know what, there's somebody out there that would be able to help me in my business to level up on the next
yeah.
phase.
Well, you know what you learn with the coaching too is one, you gotta be the dumbest guy in the room.
Mm,
So I put myself in that position where I built a team that knows everything. Like the industry that we're getting into. They are the professionals. I'm not. I'm just a developer. I build the building, but I don't run that business. So that's the thing. Is, I'd rather own 1% of everything than 100% of nothing, right? So,
Mm,
and without the team that you build, there's no success because one, I can't do everything. There's no way. And for me to learn everything that would have to be, would be years and years of just education and trying to figure it out. So the biggest thing my takeaway from a lot of this last year is one, you need to obsess about it. Do I want to know as much as my partners do? Yes. To the obsession of just saying, let's buckle down. I've learned this. Let's implement it right away.
mm.
Like just like last week, the biggest thing was double down. Like my biggest thing is if you think you work hard, you need to work harder. That's what I tell all my
Like
staff.
how much more can you do, right?
Yeah. Well, the thing is like it for me, like I could show you my phone. I don't have a single game on my phone. I have nothing. I have zero distractions. I
Mm,
get rid of it all. Um, a year and a half ago, I had a bunch of games, and I go like, how many hours a week am I just wasting time? And how many clients could we get? Or, you know, how many investors can we get in? And, how much have I built that team? We've
mm.
had to travel. Like, you hear JT having to travel the world to bring people to Mega, right? Well,
Yeah.
I had to do
But
the
now
same.
you're
I'm in North
traveling for
America.
business. Yeah,
It's
now
only North
you're
America, so it's not so bad.
right. At least you're not
Yeah.
going to Australia. But like
I
now
love
you're
it there.
traveling for business. Well, I'm not there anymore. Anyway.
Yeah. It's
No,
beautiful.
Australia is beautiful, and I see a lot of opportunities globally. So I don't consider Australia as my only home, and I don't consider Malaysia as my only home or the US as my only home. I think for me is there's a lot of opportunity wherever I go. So that's why I do travel from time to time. But for me being in the US, those of you that want to know the story, just follow through with the process and my journey. But
Yeah.
I think for you and your growth, it's been an absolute journey from having someone that is better and smarter than you towards helping you with your growth of the business. But let's rewind back all the way to when you first started. When you first started, was it an easy transition for you, or did you always knew that you were going to be a general contractor?
I was young. I started my first business when I was just 18. And I mean, I was doing, like the little things. I started off doing door-to-door sales for a window manufacturer. Like the parents owned the manufacturing plant, but the son opened up a renovation company. And I started as a
Mm,
sales rep, you know, and I was 17 at the time. And for 8 months, I was like, hey, I just sold like $800,000 worth of products. I'm like, these guys are paying me 400 bucks a week. And, I'm
mm,
young and kind of ambitious, I guess. And then I'm like, okay, $400 a week. I pay my own fuel. I do everything. And then you sit back. We're doing a home show in Timmins, Ontario, where Shania is from. And I went home that one night and I'm like, 400 bucks a week, 800. I would have made 200 grand if I just subbed everything out. And I'm like, you know what? Never again. So from that day on, I've been
right.
self-employed my entire career,
You did the
except for
numbers.
about,
A lot of people don't do the numbers. You did the
yeah.
numbers.
Yeah, and the thing was like I can go sell one deal, and like my first deal I made was like, back in the day you'd call Revenue Canada and it was just like I need an HST number and they'd give it to you over the phone, you'd write it down and away you went. I had been knocking doors for 8 months, so I had leads like you wouldn't believe. And like that first
Mm.
week I made over $14,000 in profit. And I'm like, wow, that would have took me that's like pretty much 6, 7 months of working for these guys.
Yeah.
So
So with you with the transition, right? Was that easy with transitioning out from being employed to actually being a business owner?
100% it was easy. I'm not, I've been in positions where I was asked to be a director of construction. I was building high rise. I actually resigned because I'm like, your process is messed. I'm very kind of blunt, which sometimes harms me. I was a chief building official for 4.5 years, certified by the National Building Code. I took care of pretty much a third of the province of Ontario up in Northern Ontario and 22 townships and everything. And it was like I either do the job right or I don't, and
Mm.
as a chief building official, when you're in those areas and the mayor's a contractor and you're putting summonses out, you're like, oh. So if, it was
But
like I either do the job right or I don't do it all.
I think the thing is, like we all have our own challenges, right? Like whatever
Yeah.
business it is, we all have our own challenges. It sounds like your challenge is not, you don't take it to heart in terms of your challenge being something that it's going to pull you or knock you down. Because some people are like, oh, this challenge. And then there's like, woe is me. And because of that, it slows down the process of growth, or it slows down in terms of how the business changes or the business, pivots into
Yeah.
something larger or bigger. I think for you, from the sounds of it, is that you get hold of a challenge that, okay, how can I, you're a solutions kind of person.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, right? You got to grow with what you're doing. And
Mm,
for me, the more I have on my plate, it's the clearer everything gets. We have
right.
processes in place. We have everything like, what I mean? Like our accounting department, we're shifting into AI. So now a bookkeeper that spends 40 hours a week going through receipts, the software is just going to automatically book, do entries. Like we're looking at, getting with the technology as well. So that's why we're shifting as well as going, okay, like do we have something here? Um, and
Has
I
there
totally
ever
understand
been
what your question was.
Has there ever been a toughest challenge that you face where you had to take like a time off? Like I said, okay, let me just think about this problem.
I think it was just recently, actually. It's like when we started speaking about, like I was looking, I'm getting out of family, custom building custom homes. But as a
Mm,
builder, you're like, oh, the phone just rang. I got another one. I got another one. And I think my biggest dilemma was in order to scale up to where we want to be, is where do I stop? Where do I stop answering the phone and get like work on the business and scaling it to the larger level
mm,
and forgetting the distractions behind? I've canceled some massive projects. I've canceled about 6 custom homes. I get calls every day, and I'm like, yeah, no, we're done because I got to go up to that next one. I can't have the distractions. So for me,
mm.
that was my biggest hurdle is saying no. 'Cause it's always good to make the
Right.
money. The money's great,
Right. But it's
but
like how can you still say yes and then figure it out, like how do you work on that project, doesn't it?
I-
Being so
I've tr
busy.
I've tried so hard to keep the little stuff going, so because it's just kind of gravy. But then if you're not babysitting a client, you're babysitting an employee.
Mm,
You know what I mean? So there's still that distraction. We went from, like I said, we like coaching has been everything for us. All attributes to JT. We went from a $3 to $7 million a year, depending on how the year went, to like billions, and then like we're looking at building a $4.5 billion exit company right now. And like I said earlier, I have no idea how that company works, but we built a team to do it because it's an industry.
mm.
It's what is not out there right now. This is going to change the industry for the better. And we're hitting a market niche that is not out there. So it's going to be like
Okay,
the world.
so here is a good question. So with you being so busy in the business, right? And you having to babysit everybody, right? You still created the time to fly all the way to Australia. You still had that time, that week in LA and at the business event. How did that, how did you make that work? Because everybody
We
always has this excuse of I'm too busy or I have no time.
Yeah, that's just excuses that nobody should use. But that being said, so we've set up a technology. I know every project that's going on right now. I get a report every day. That report says what happened today, what happened yesterday, what's happening tomorrow, a bunch of pictures from the jobs that day. So I could probably skim through a project literally in 5 minutes and go, okay, is everything going good? Yes, it is. And I stay away. If I
Mm.
notice something, then we step in and just mentor and help out, and that person will learn for the next time.
Like for
So
me, I had
technology
a client.
saves my time.
So for me, I had a whole week that's I cleared up. I'm like, okay, I can't do it at the moment because I got to focus on the business event. But my clients still would text me in terms of if they need help or if there's anything that's an emergency. So for me, I had to schedule an emergency coaching session with a client because he was having difficulties back in Raleigh. So for me, that means that I had to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning to make the 5:30 call. And for
Yeah.
me, that's what you got to do. Business is business. If there's an emergency, you make it happen. But you also make time and create that time in order to be present at whatever would help you in the business, whether or not it's relationship building or gaining clients or actually collaborating with somebody that would be able to help. Where you both will be able to help each other grow. How has it been for you with your journey, like with the people that you have met? Because you're so hooked, like yourself, like with me, you're hooked. So how has the experience been in this journey?
I think it's been great. Like about a year ago, I was a introvert. I'd stay in the corner. I didn't talk to anybody. You got to get to that point where you're uncomfortable is your new comfortable kind of thing. So all of a sudden one day, like part of that journey is if I didn't start talking to people, I wouldn't do it. But one of our employees was like, "Hey, you're speaking at an event on Thursday." And this was like Tuesday. And I'm like, "Where am I speaking?" He's like, "In Calgary." I'm like, he goes, I'm going to book you a flight. You're going to speak. You got to stop this. And it actually, I'm like, okay, I was so nervous. It was probably only about 80, 90 people in the room.
Not as bad as a big convention.
No, no. But it was like, okay, then that was my new thing now. Okay. So then from that one, they're like, oh my God, that was really good. Can you come do one on a rooftop event in Kelowna? I'm like, okay, let's do that. And then every time gets better. So you got to practice your craft, get out. If you don't make relationships and build relationships, you're not going to have anything because you can't do it by yourself. It
Mm,
goes back to being, again, build the team, be the dumbest guy in the room so that you're always learning and scaling up, double down on everything, and be obsessed
mm.
about everything you do. And
Absolutely.
it'll
But the
come.
thing is also being visible, right? Because you started
Yeah.
being visible, you started opening, you started saying hi, you started making that connections rather than being the introvert in the corner, as we know
Yeah.
how it looks
Yeah.
like. So with you and this being the new comfortable, what's the next step for you moving forward for 20, let's say 2026?
Well, 2026 is very like the hard work starts now. We've built the team, we've built the business, we got everything in place. Now we're in the middle of we're in the middle. 24 hours ago, we
Mm,
started our $100 million capital raise. So that's, as much as it's taken 4 or 5 months, 6 months, I think it is to build the team.
mm,
That's the hard work now. It's going to be 24/7, because it's obsession, you know. We're going to do it. We're going to do it very quickly, but you got to put the work in, right? If you're not on the phone,
absolutely.
you're not building those relationships. I built some new relationships last week in LA at Mega.
Mm,
And they're like, hey, I got friends that are in the hedge fund business. So everything goes to something else, right? So like, again, if we didn't start talking to people, uh, we wouldn't
the
get these
process is
relationships.
easier, right? The
Oh,
process is easier than where we're at.
yeah, yeah. And never forget who helps you out. You know what I mean? Like, don't bite the hand that feeds you. I look at one of our employees from right at the beginning when I started this journey, and like he gave me an introduction to one person, which came to the other. So I feel very indebted to that. Like I'm like, when we exit, actually, he got us a massive project on Vancouver Island, and I'm like, you're going to be a millionaire.
Mm,
Because if it wasn't for him getting me out of my shell, we wouldn't have all this. So you don't
absolutely.
forget
Don't forget the
ever.
little people, as we say, right?
Yeah,
The person that started that or at
yeah,
least led you to that part, whether or not it's a small person or
yeah,
someone that people don't talk about.
yeah. Again, it's
All
it's the
right.
team. We don't treat our employees any different than I would treat my wife. Like we're just again, it's
Yeah.
a family thing, right? We
Amazing.
still
All right,
like,
so I gotta ask, right? Because some people are like, "Oh, I'm in a relationship, I can't do this," or "Oh, I've got kids, I've got a wife," and all these excuses come into place, right? So I can't give this advice because they think that this is bullshit for me since I don't have a partner, I don't have kids and stuff like that. But for you, how did you make it work? Like I'm assuming that you and your wife are both on the same path and the same understanding in terms of where this business needs to be taken towards to.
yeah.
I like does she have a place in the business as well, or does she not have the place in the business? Is she just a supporting character outside of the business? How is your relationship with your wife?
It's actually really good. Like my wife's a CPA, so we've been really good together. Developer, builder, counting. 50% of building is numbers now. We keep ourselves accountable. She is 50% owner in our development firm. She's 100% owner in her financial firm because I have nothing. I have no idea what happens, right? So one thing we've learned in the early years, we'll call it, is I stick to my lane. I've
Mm,
learned that I stay out of accounting, she stays out of construction. We meet in the middle when we have questions, but
mm,
it's great. Like, like it's one of these things like coming back from Mega, you're on a flight. We had a short flight, obviously, but it's like, okay, this is what we're gonna do. Let's scale down. Let's go meet some new people that can help you scale your accounting firm and your fractional CFO stuff. And if I go to an event, she comes to an event. If I read a book, she reads a book, the same book. We're on the same wavelength coming up, right? We don't, what nobody wants to leave anybody behind.
mm.
Um,
So was it easy for both of you to go, okay, this is the journey we want to take. Are we okay to work with it together, or was it something that needed convincing on the side?
no, 100% all in. 100% all in. There's 100% trust back and forth.
Okay. How
I could be
important
like,
is
I
it
want to do
to
this, and she's like, I support you.
nice. So how is it to you? How important is this to have your spouse on the same path or at least the same understanding wavelength?
I'm gonna say it's everything. And if you don't have that, then there's the lack of communication between you and your spouse. Like start
Mm,
communicating. And it's like how would I say that? If I was like, hey, today's pretty sunny, but if you go and you're excited about something,
Yep.
get your spouse excited as well. Because if you go in at a very blah and you're like, hey, this is what we're going to do, this is what we can achieve, if we do this together, it's going to be great. That's what people are missing. Like, get your spouse involved. And, between Amber and I couldn't ask for better, in all honesty.
Amazing. It's helpful when you have good support, especially when someone you see every day.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's good to have support on the background as well. So any last advice to people out there that is trying to start, let's say, the construction business?
It's never too late. It's never too late. You got to build a team. Without the team, you're not going to scale. You're not going to grow. You're not going to go from $1 million revenue to 5 million. You just can't do it by yourself. There's only so many hours in a day. I know the software is coming up and it makes it pretty easy for me, but I can't go to 7 sites every day, 8 sites every day. I just can't do it physically. So that's why the team is the biggest thing. Start from the top, work your way down, and treat everybody the same. Just treat everybody the same. They're all family, and without them, there's no you. It's that simple.
Mm.
Like, without my team, there's no what we're doing. So, how I treat my wife is how I treat our partners and everybody else that's involved in our organization.
And I always tell people like think big. Like I have a flooring guy that works with me as a client. I always say think big. It doesn't matter what industry you're at, whether or not you're flooring, general contractor, or a cleaner, you got to think bigger.
Well, here's a short little outcome about thinking big. I thought big, and then I got on a call with JT, and JT's, what's the exit strategy? I'm like 2.5 billion, and he started laughing. And I was like, thank you. That's exactly what I needed. And in closing, that is what made me say, hey, okay, step back. Who do I build? The team I built just exited in March for $4.6 billion in the same industry. So again, that's why I'm the dumbest guy in the room. We've built the team and we all go up together. So I can't wait for next year when it's like, hey, JT, guess what? You
I
might want
know,
us.
like there's a time and place where you prove someone wrong in the right way, and there's a time and place where it's like, you know what, I'm gonna test it
Yeah,
out to see it's working. But I think for you, you made it as a challenge. You're like, no, I'm gonna make it. Like you have that vision, right?
yeah. And you know what? It's not hard to, if you don't ask, you don't get.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to name names at this point because I can't, but I reached out to an ex-CEO, ran a $70 billion empire. And I said, will you listen to what I got to do? And I want to do. This is our vision and this is what we want to do. Can I send you everything? Can I send you the numbers? Can I send you the plan? That person said, absolutely, instantly. And I was like, that is crazy. This is like a very high net worth person, travels the world, and you're like, you're taking time out of your day. It took 4 or 5 days to get an email back.
Mm.
But when I got the questions that came in, I was like, that person read absolutely every word. So I was like, wow, you took time out of your day. And push comes to shove, that person might want to be involved, which is good. So if you don't ask, you don't get. So start at the top. It's always I said, let's go to the biggest person I know
Mm.
and work down. Because if you take those little baby steps to go up, and this is only my opinion, if I take all these small steps to go up, it's going to take forever to get to the top.
Mm.
So if you believe in what you do and you're excited about what you do, start at the top because that person might believe in you too.
But you never know what you'll get unless you try it out. And it's not being afraid of the rejection and the failure. It's, you know what, every closed door would lead to an opportunity, and you would know
Yeah.
how to identify the good among the bads.
Yeah. And and it's just not, you don't just jump at every opportunity either, right? It's just, trust but verify.
Mm.
It's one of those things as well. Like, somebody might come in and say, hey, yeah, we want to invest $50 million. But if they're not a good fit for what our vision is and their past projects, we might say no. It's one of those things. So you want to make sure that team is good and it's everybody within it.
Mm. No, that's great. That's great. All right, guys, if you're interested to know more about what Gates do and his luxury homes, and maybe learn from him from the site track, or maybe reach out to him, I'm gonna get his details. So, Gates, I'll get your details, your social media handles, and your website, and I'm gonna be putting it on the description below. But other than that, this has been a great chat. So, thank you, Gates, for coming on and sharing your experience as a general contractor and your expansion from Canada to the US. You never know. You may go beyond those islands, the big islands of the US.
Yeah, we want to get away from the snow that's out there.
There
No.
you go. All right, guys, thank you for tuning in. Other than that, I shall see you on the next episode.
Cheers.